Hey! Did you know that the Realm of Shadows, the map where Elden Ring DLC Shadow of Erdtree takes place in, is 18.47% livable? Well, technically it's more of a how survivable this plot of land is, but you know, the title livability sounds pretty good and seems to be the one that performs pretty well on my channel, unfortunately. Anyways, in this video we'll be finding how livable Elden Ring is and how we got this number. In the Elden Ring video, I've already discussed how I went through this methodology, but in case if you're too lazy to watch that, I'll do a quick summary right now. Alright, so what we are looking for when measuring livability in the context of Elden Ring is basically finding the bare minimum in order to live. This is food, water, tools, and clothes. Following how we conducted our experiment in the lands between, we will also be following the same rules. We will have the same assumptions that we have both tools, clothes, and shelter readily available for our usage. The only thing that we'll be looking out for in this video is just any form of land that doesn't have any enemies and reliable food sources. To keep things as fair as possible, all bosses are alive as well. Alright, so first off, before we start, just like the lands between, it will be nice to know the measurement of the Realm of Shadows. I didn't do too much research on this, but basically I found a Reddit post that compared how big the Shadow of Erdtree is compared to the main game. And doing some measurement analysis wombo jumbo, I believe that the area of Realm of Shadows is roughly around 6.1 square kilometers. Am I correct? Probably not, but this is my educated guess, so anyone who happens to be good at measuring video game maps, you can correct me. Hopefully there's a map person watching this. And looking at the whole map, I've decided to split the map into 5 distinct regions. The first one up is the Gravesite Plains. This is the area that we are first introduced in this map, and it covers quite a big chunk of the map. And the area I calculated for this region is around 1.50 square kilometers. Alright, up next is at the northeast of the Gravesite Plains, which is called the... what is it called? The Scadu Altus. The Scadu Altus. Is that how you pronounce it? Whatever. Which covers all of this region. And all of this region equals to around 2.01 square kilometers. Down to the south of the map, and this one is my personal favorite because it is so pretty. Look at this. It's so pretty. Alright, I'm gonna be real, I don't remember the names of the blue flowers and the red flowers, so I just combined them into one main region that we will analyze, and I'm calling it the pretty flowery area. Because there's a lot of flowers and it's so pretty. And the size that I calculated for this region is 1.21 square kilometers. And over here is the Abyssal Wood, which all amounts to around 0.85 square kilometers, and I'm gonna be real with you, this area is just too dangerous to even analyze. So, nuke that please. And lastly, at the northwest is the... how do you even pronounce it? Rauh Ruins? Which also very pretty. Kind of reminds me of Skyward Sword. And this region will be around 0.57 square kilometers. We can now begin our analysis, starting with the Gravesite Plain. The Gravesite Plain is, well, you're gonna hear me glaze over Elden Ring because it is such a pretty game, but is it livable? If we hop into the main road, just like in the lands between, there are enemies on the main road, which is not good, so it's best to avoid the rest of the main road. Now I find a decent chunk of land in the Gravesite Plains that we could potentially live in. First up is this pond at the north of the Gravesite Plains. There is water, which is very convenient, and doing my initial roaming around here, there doesn't seem to be any enemies around, which is what we want. Also, there is a variety of animals like rabbits, this chipmunk, is it a chipmunk? I don't know. So that is food secured. Also, there is a dog. Hi dog. This pond at the north of the Gravesite Plain is a pretty livable area. Alright, up to the next area that I've analyzed. Just around the point where you enter the Realm of Shadows for the first time, this entire area is pretty good. And there's a variety of animals that we can use as food. Even though the nearest water source is pretty dangerous, I feel like we can handle it. And lastly, this little area here. It is small, but it is chill and there's plenty of food. Now if you walk down a bit, you're gonna encounter some mean-spirited characters. No water source, no problem. Just add a water station and you'll be just fine. And that is all I discovered for Gravesite Plains. there is not a lot of options around here. Calculating everything with an area surface of 1.50 square kilometers, around 246.53 square meters is livable, which if we turn that into a percentage, only 16.44% of Gravesite Plains is livable. That is pretty low, but also not surprising. Hopefully the other regions have a more suitable area to live in. Anyways, that is Gravesite Plains done. Let's move on to the next one, which is, how do you even say it? Scadu Altus? Scadu. Welcome to Scadu Altus. There are actually a decent chunk of area that you can live in pretty comfortably. And if you've explored this area, there is one specific very pretty and beautiful area that I really like. We have, oddly specifically, the left side of this church. Or the right side, depending on how you see it. Yeah, I have no idea why all of the enemies are just on the other side of this church, but you know, this side of the church is pretty quiet. There is water around the church. There is a dog right here. There's also other animals that you can use for food. Now this area may not be the most comfortable, but it does its job, and that's what matters the most. So this area is livable. And just to the left of the cathedral is the, what is it called? The ruins of, hold up, interesting. The ruins of Unt. So this is the ruins of Unt. Now around the actual ruins, not good. There is this big boy just roaming around and he is not very nice. However, if we go a bit down at the south of the ruins, it's actually not bad. It's far enough where none of the enemies will come to you. There is water and there is food. This area is pretty acceptable. So mark that please, editor me. Thank you very much. And the next area is the pool just at the north of the what is it? The Morph? I swear to God, some of these names, I cannot pronounce some of these names. And the next area that I found that is pretty suitable to live in is at the pond at the north of the Rauh Ruins. Apart from these blue spaghetti things, which I don't know what they're called, but when I did try to experiment and see how far they can attack, I'd say this is doable. There's water, no enemies around, and there is food. Everything is ticked out. So this area is pretty good. Alright, now this area is pretty interesting. There is a specific bridge that connects to this tiny area that connects to this village. Now this tiny area between the village and the actual main road is actually pretty good to live in. It's quiet, there's no enemies around. This is going to be an interesting one because the main road, pretty dangerous, but the village, also pretty dangerous. Other than that, this hut is pretty livable. Alright, the next area is the Erdtree chalice. And actually, this entire area is pretty good. The only issue is you just have to find a way to get past the boss. But once you do, this entire region, apart from the hut because it is filled with very angry people that want to hurt you, is actually pretty livable. There's plenty of food around. There is no enemies, although no water, but you know, we can find our way around that. So this area is livable. And around the northeast, there is this specific area that is pretty good to live in. Now the main road is filled with these weird centipede guys. I don't know what they're doing here. And if you go down the main road a bit too long, they are pretty aggressive and hit a lot. So like I said before, please don't go on the main road. But this general area is pretty good. And lastly, my personal favorite, welcome to the Shaman Village. Oh my god, it is like a Studio Ghibli movie. I love this. This is amazing. Now what isn't amazing is the journey to reach to the Shaman Village. There are 2 tree sentinels that are patrolling, which is not really good because they are very big and scary and hurt a lot. But if you manage to get past these 2, the Shaman Village is one of the best areas you can live in the realm of shadows. And that is all for Scadu Altus. With an area of 2.01 square kilometers, the amount of area that is livable is 0.42 square kilometers, making 20.73% of Scadu Altus livable. That is 1/5 of this area that is livable, which is actually pretty good. Anyways, we are done here. Let's move on to the pretty flowery area. Alright, welcome to the pretty flowery area. Let's go. We got the blue flowers, we got the red flowers. I forgot the name, so editor me, please fix that for me. Thank you. Now, I probably rushed a bit in this area because I was admiring too much of how pretty the whole area is. Sorry, I'm gonna keep glazing this. But from my initial inspection, a lot of this area is actually pretty good to live in. There is a whole area that stretches around this entire region, which is pretty good. Now, there are quite a few enemies around, but they are pretty slow, so you can easily outpace them by just jogging away. And you got your resources here as well, which is what we want. Now, the areas that aren't livable here, such as this area, is mainly because there's a big boy just roaming around doing big boy stuff, and you know, you don't wanna bother them. In summary, a large chunk of this area is pretty good to live in. With an area of 1.21 square kilometers, 0.39 square kilometers is actually livable, which is pretty surprising. I might have done something wrong here, but that's the nature of human error. So calculating the percentage, we get a percentage of 31.91% livability. So that is very nice. And the last area that we'll be looking at is the Rauh Ruins is very dangerous, not a shocker. With these constructions and buildings that have a drop of 7 foot, yeah, this is not exactly a nice place to live around. Now, does that mean there is any spot in Rauh Ruins that is livable? Fortunately, there are two small areas that you can potentially live in. The first area is around the entrance of the Rauh Ruins. There is no enemies around, there is food around. This area is pretty good. Now, the other area that I've discovered is also fairly acceptable and is just around this edge right here. There is no enemies around and there's animals just like the other area, so that is what we want. And unfortunately, this general area, there's a big boy just roaming around, so that big boy can do a lot of things. Alright, so this one is a fairly short one, so let's calculate everything. Rauh Ruins is around 0.57 square kilometers with 0.08 square kilometers that is livable, which makes 14.58% Rauh Ruins livable. That is actually pretty impressive. And that is everything for the Realm of Shadows. Now we are going to do a seminar to summarize everything that we've learned today. So I will be seeing you very soon, class. Okay. Hello class, welcome to the seminar and let us begin. So today we have gone through the Realm of Shadow, the area that Elden Ring DLC Shadow of Erdtree takes place in. The Realm of Shadow has a surface area of around 6.12 square kilometers. After going through the Realm of Shadow, we have gathered the following. During our study, we have decided to split the map into 5 different regions. Gravesite Plains, Abyssal Woods, Scadu Altus, the pretty flowery area that I keep forgetting the name of, and Rauh Ruins. It is to be noticed that upon immediate inspection of Abyssal Woods, it is simply too dangerous to consider. Now looking through the rest of the other regions, here is how much each region is livable. Gravesite Plains, total area 1.50 square kilometers, with 0.25 square kilometers, making it 16.44% livable. Scadu Altus, total area of 2.01 square kilometers, with 0.42 square kilometers, making it 20.73% livable. The flowery area, total area of 1.21 square kilometers with 0.39 square kilometers, making it 31.9% livable. And finally, Rauh Ruins, total area of 0.57 square kilometers with 0.08 square kilometers, making that 14.58% livable. Oh yeah, by the way, my neighbor is having like a party or something. If you can hear that in the background, it is very annoying. And adding everything all together, we get a livable total area of 1,130,649 square meters, or 1.13 square kilometers. That is livable. Which, if we calculate the percentage, that is 18.47% livable. Wow! If we were to get even more realistic, this number will be dropping down even more. But for the sake of keeping things as open and as considerate as possible, it is reasonable to assume that at most, with all of the tools at your disposal, that 18.47% of Realm of Shadow is livable. Oh my god, excuse me. Alright class, that is all for today. This one was a fairly short one because there isn't really much to go through. This map is significantly smaller and I am done with everything here today. Anyways, that is it from me. I will be doing something very interesting in the next video, so I look forward to seeing you there. Goodbye. Say bye.